So hi everyone, I hope this finds you well. I'm not entirely sure when you're going to get sent this video, but I'm recording this, I suppose, fairly early on into getting back in the saddle of doing this kind of work. And I just wanted to share a couple of reflections with you all about what's come up for me. It's funny, I used to make these kind of videos a lot, and those of you on my mailing list will probably know that. And my experience of them was always kind of feeling surprised if they ever helped. And you might be surprised to hear that, but still to this day that's true. And recalling how easy I used to just do them. I would literally just hit record and get on with them. And that was not what my experience of making my last video was like. The first one that's probably going out to you guys was not like that at all. And I had a lot of noise in my head, and I was thinking, well, what am I going to say, and how does this reconcile with how I now see the world? And after a while I just got really bored of myself, and I was just like, will you just record it right now? And I did. I just recorded it, and it was just, I suppose, something I wanted to share about that was what it's like to get back in the proverbial saddle. It's funny, I'm sitting at a horse riding stables right now using horse riding metaphors. But so there was two things. The first thing was, I've not made videos like this for some time. And there's definitely a different focus to how I'm going to be showing up moving forward with doing these. But it was just funny. It was almost like seeing that I'd settled into an identity of being somebody that didn't do this anymore. And of course, the minute I then sat down to try and do it, I was bumping up against that new identity that my mind had set up. And it was almost protesting and going, well, you don't do this, and you've told people you don't do this, and yet here I am doing it. So it was noticing what it's like to get back into the saddle and seeing, oh, there's a lot of discomfort here. And that discomfort is related to the fact that my mind has made up a new identity, and I've got a lot of thinking about that. And here I am going against the grain of that. And so, okay, good to see. But knowing the nature of that discomfort, seeing what it's made of, and knowing ultimately I will adapt to a new identity, or even, as I see it, adapt to not being so attached to any of these identities and just flowing in the moment and doing what makes sense. And that was kind of what happened when I made that first video. It was like I tried figuring it all out quickly, well, not so quickly, realized that was pretty pointless, and then just went to the moment and allowed the moment to do the work, and that higher intelligence that's inside all of us to do the work. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was based off a conversation I had with Paul related to this. I was just sort of sharing with him how, even to this day, I am surprised when things I share are helpful or useful. And for me, it's not so much about what is shared. I think a lot of it is just to do with, the energy behind it coming from that feeling of presence. I think a lot of us who are here right now and who are resonating with some of the things that I've been putting out, we have spent a lot of our lives being told that we are oddballs, weirdos, crazy people, and it's almost been programmed into us. And I'm not sure that programming ever really goes. And even when I used to do this sort of stuff all the time, like I said earlier, still came up in me. Oh, I'm being weird, and oh, it's crazy, and this is not useful. Like, all of that noise would come up in me. I don't honestly think that's ever going to go, but it was really funny seeing what it was like to make the video, the last one I made, and to some extent this one, to see what it was like to make that video with that new identity that my mind had made up, which said, you're not a person that does this anymore. And then that old programming that said, yeah, you're the crazy person, what have you got to share anyway? But as I said to Paul, I actually think that that's part of the value that comes from some of these videos, is the fact that even I'm surprised that there's any value in what I say. And look, there may not be to you in this video, which is fine, no problem. But I think for those of you that really resonate with some of what I've been sharing recently, that doubt is helpful. It brings a humility and a feeling, a richness that is actually, when people feel into it, they can see that it's not being shared as if you're some kind of know-it-all or kind of guru or expert. Like, I never really thought of myself that way, but now it feels so important to not be seen as that, because for me, it's about people waking up to their power, their sovereignty. And in a way, you can't do that if you're still looking externally for someone or something to validate you or tell you what's true or tell you what's right. And that's the problem I've had with some of these videos lately. And I'm going to, or before I stopped, let's say, and I'm going to continually encourage when I make these videos that you are not using them as a way of deferring from your own power, and that you continually check in and just use the feeling of these videos more than the content to allow yourself to check in with what makes sense to you and what you know, so that it becomes a tool for you to awaken even more to your own power, your own sovereignty. But there's a lot of points, I suppose, I'm making in this video, but there's that. And then I want you to also sort of be reflective of, what if when you go out and start doing your thing, whatever that might be, maybe there's something that you've been wanting to share or something you've been wanting to do. I was having a conversation with someone that I know who's got a really, to my mind, a great idea, but she's also somebody that sits there and goes, no, this is crazy. This is not going to work. And to some extent, that's causing them to hold back on shining even brighter. But what I was sharing with them was like, look, that discomfort, it's not information about whether there's value in what you're going to share. It's just information about your programming, information about your conditioning, thinking that arises in you on a common basis. None of it's true, but you won't get rid of that discomfort. You'll just come to see what it means. You'll just come to see, okay, this is not evidence I need to stop, or evidence I need to overthink, or evidence I need to, work it out a bit more. No, your higher self knows what to do with these things. And the more you start to come alive to that deeper part of who you are, the less seriously you're going to take some of that discomfort. And the more you can move forward and shine brighter in the world, doing whatever it is you do, but more importantly, just being who you really are. So I hope that's helpful, and sending lots of love. Take care. Bye.